Hi everybody, it's Stacy with Inspired to Scrap, and I want to show you a quick tutorial on watercoloring some embellishments for your page. These are some that I made last night. It's really a lot of fun and it's not very hard, and I'm going to show you my favorite easy way to watercolor them. I'm sure there's a million different ways and techniques, but I'll just show you a couple things that I like the best. And I also want to give a shout out to Lolise, and I hope I didn't say that wrong. But she made these beautiful feathers, this one and then a couple more that I've already used for a swap last month or a couple months ago for me, and they're just beautiful and they're watercolor, and it just inspired me to pull out my watercolors again and to play with them. There's videos on YouTube you can watch, but hopefully this will just give you a quick idea of how to do it really simply. So I have tubes of watercolors that I've squeezed into little spots on this tray, and I've just had this for a lot of years. You can just get one of those little palettes of watercolor already made in a little case, and that's probably easier for you and cheaper. Use what you have. You can probably figure out a way to do it with watercolor pencils or spray inks as well, the mist. But I'm going to show you this way today. Okay, so these are just some of the examples that I made, and I cut these out on the Cameo with watercolor paper. And I have two different kinds that I've used. This one was only $1 at Joann's, but it's pretty thin and it can warp or tear easily, but it'll work and it's cheap. And then this one, I think it was about probably $10 with a coupon. I can't remember. But it's a lot thicker, and this one's 140-pound weight. The other one was 96-pound weight. But the watercolor paper will just help your paper stay a little bit flatter and not warp as much. So these are some that I've made. I cut out some feathers and some butterflies. This one I just punched it out. If you don't have a cutting tool, I just punched this with a little hand puncher. And then I made some little snowflake type things and a couple green elements. And I used one of the green ones and a different reddish purple pink one on the page yesterday. And this one I haven't quite finished. This was that thin paper. The rest were on the real heavy paper. This one's on that thin paper, and I haven't outlined it yet. I like to go around and outline it with the marker because it helps it stand out more. But so I just want to show you really quickly my favorite technique to watercolor these little die cuts. So I have, let's see, this is my dirty water, and then this is the clean water. And I'll start out with the clean water, and I just like to wet it down. And if it's a tiny element, you might want to stick it down to your paper first. But I just get a wash of water on there. Paper towels nearby help too. And then I'll go in and get the colors that I want. And then I'll just drop them in. And they'll kind of start spreading out and mixing with other colors. And you can graduate the colors. And if your paper starts to dry, I would add a little bit more clear water. The other thing to remember with watercolors is they dry lighter than they look, so you might want to go in and grab some paint straight from the tray instead of diluting it with some water and other colors first and add it to make sure that it's going to stand out good. Otherwise the colors might just get washed away, like I said. And then just go through and just play with it and drop in the different colors. Let's see. I always do it in the dirty water first and then the cleaner water to help. And see, and if it starts to dry, you can just add a little bit more water on there. Oh, I like that color. And just keep dropping the colors in, and then when they dry, this is the wet on wet method, and when they dry they'll just all be blended together and you don't have to worry about little paint marks, lines where they were separated. And so that is my favorite method to watercolor onto the die cut elements. Let's see if I can get a good view of that for you. Doesn't seem to be looking quite as bright on the camera as it is in person. So then a couple other things you can do. When it's wet, you can sprinkle on some salt. And then once it's dry, you can brush that salt off and it will leave some fun little marks. Something else you can do, just let me clear the salt off of here. I gotta wait for that one to dry to brush the salt off to show you. So let me grab another one of these to show you something else. Let's see, we'll do a little feather. So I start with the, I hope this tutorial is not taking too long. I meant for it to be really quick, but I guess I seem to talk a lot. Alright, so maybe we'll do some purples with this one. You could just paint one color over the whole thing, but the dimension of color is, I think, a little bit more fun than just a plain solid color. And don't be afraid of this, don't be intimidated. It is a little bit intimidating at first, but just go for it, and you know, if you mess up, it's just paper. You're not painting right on your page, you're just painting some elements and having fun with it. Okay, so here's another one. Now, what you could do once that's dry, sorry about the noise, hold on. I'm just going to use my heat gun to dry it real quick. I don't know if you can see that, but it's gotten a lot lighter. Maybe I'll dry this one too. Okay, so once it's dry, you can use an old toothbrush, and I'm pretty sure you've done this technique on other elements before, but it works with the watercolors too. You can just dip it in whatever color you want, straight into the ink, or not the ink, the paint, and then use your thumb and kind of flick it on. I didn't say this wasn't going to be messy. I think that's kind of the fun of it too, to get a little messy. Let's see, I'm going to use a little bit of this dark blue. Oh no, I messed up. So, see, I dropped a big old drop of paint on there, and I just used my paper towel while it was still wet to clean it up. So there's some room for errors with watercolors, which is nice. Okay, so I'll take some pictures of some close-ups of these so you can see them a little bit better. But just play with it, and then when you're done you can let it dry. You could also add some acrylic paint on top once it's dry. I've done that when I made these kind of galaxy designs, and these white spots are acrylic ink that I've put on top. Let's see if this is dry enough to brush the salt. Okay, so most of it's dry, but you just brush the salt off, and then it gives this really nice texture to the paper. So as you can see, there's a lot of different fun things that you can do with watercolors. You just have to be willing to try them out and play, and don't be afraid to mess up. And if you do, you can wipe it away or start over, or just go with it and make it work. I think I'm going to finish up with one more thing that I just remembered. I've got salt all over my paper here. Let me see. I think, let's see, I'm thinking as I go here, so excuse me. Forgive my scattered mind. What colors haven't we done yet? Okay, so I'm just going to do this one super duper fast. Okay, you can quickly just paint on your wash of color. It's not really a wash, it's just quickly paint on your color. And then, oops, I went in the wrong one, messed up my clean water there. You can use a paper towel to dab some spots and remove some of the color in some spots and lighten it if it's too dark. So then you get a different effect, and that's a little bit more, I think, tie-dye look. So that's four different ideas that you can use with your watercolors. I hope you'll give them a try. It's really a lot of fun, and have a great day. Thanks a lot.